Hi, everyone. I'm Thérèse, and this is New York Girl Again, The After, the podcast for caregivers who have survived the hardest chapter of their lives and are now gathering both the courage and the strength to write the next one. Welcome back to December's Healing Series, our month-long journey of coming home to ourselves after caregiving, after loss, after survival mode. In the first episode, we talked about the gentle return, that slow, compassionate re-entry into your own life. And last week, we explored what it means to be strong enough to begin again, rebuilding strength when you feel depleted, disconnected, or just unsure. And this week, we arrive at a turning point that every caregiver eventually faces. When survival is no longer enough, but staying comfortable feels safer than growing. Because healing doesn't stop at rest. At some point, it compels us to stretch. And that stretch almost always happens just beyond the comfort zone. This is where we begin building a life that feels bigger than your past and a future brighter than you have ever imagined. So let's start here with why staying comfortable can feel so tempting in the after and why it makes complete sense. After caregiving ends, comfort zones become everything. They feel protective, predictable, controlled. And after years of living in crisis mode, that makes perfect sense. Caregiving trains your nervous system to seek safety at all costs, to avoid risk, to minimize uncertainty, to cling to what's familiar, even when it no longer fits. So, in the after, comfort zones often look like staying home more than you want to, avoiding new experiences, sticking to routines that feel emotionally flat, saying no before you even consider yes, shrinking your world without realizing it, convincing yourself you're just not ready yet. But the problem with this is what once kept things under control can quietly keep you stuck. Nothing new happens within your comfort zone. And eventually, something inside you starts to push back. Something shifts. You're no longer in crisis, but you're not fulfilled either. That's when survival stops being enough. You're functioning, you're managing, but you're not expanding. You feel a restlessness, a curiosity, a pull towards something more. Deep in your heart, you start to realize, I didn't survive the hardest chapters of my life to stay right here. There must be something more. There has to be something more. Psychologically, growth requires novelty, challenge, and engagement. Without those, motivation drops. Confidence stagnates. Life starts to feel flat. That internal nudge you feel, it's healing in action. It's healing asking for movement. It's your heart giving you permission to start focusing on yourself, your dreams, your future, to step forward. And stepping forward almost always feels uncomfortable at first. There's a well-established concept in psychology called optimal challenge. Optimal challenge is that sweet spot where real growth happens. not when life is easy or comfortable, and not when it's overwhelming, but right in the middle. It's the space where something feels uncomfortable, but not unsafe. It's where your heart rate rises a little, but you're still grounded. Where you're stretched, but not shattered. When something is too easy, we stagnate. Nothing expands. When something is too hard, our nervous system goes into protection mode. We shut down, we avoid, we freeze. But when a challenge is just hard enough, your brain becomes more flexible. Your confidence begins to rebuild, and you start to trust yourself again. For many of us caregivers, we migrate from total sacrifice during our journey to sometimes total withdrawal in the after. Optimal challenge teaches a third way. I can stretch without breaking. You'll know you're in it when you think, this is uncomfortable, but I can do it. I might mess this up, and that's okay. I'll feel proud of myself for trying. That is growth. And the most important part to remember, optimal challenge isn't about proving anything. It's about rebuilding your relationship with yourself. Each time you meet a challenge that's just hard enough, your nervous system learns, I'm capable. I can recover. Discomfort doesn't mean danger. It's about choosing one small stretch and showing yourself that you're still here, still capable, and still becoming. Let's make this practical. Pushing beyond the comfort zone doesn't mean drastic change. For caregivers in the after, it often looks like going somewhere alone for the first time, traveling solo, even briefly, trying a new form of movement, re-entering social spaces intentionally, signing up for something you've been curious about, letting yourself be seen without the caregiver's role. These actions matter because each one builds self-trust. Each time you step outside what's familiar and handle it, your brain learns, my life is not over. I can do this. I can move forward. That's how confidence is rebuilt, through action. And I want to share how this is showing up in my own life. One of the many ways I'm practicing this right now is by intentionally stepping beyond what's comfortable for me. My solo pilgrimage to Rome is one of those steps. Traveling alone, leaving familiar routines, letting myself be reshaped by a new environment. Not to escape, not to prove strength, but to expand, to remind myself that growth still belongs to me, that curiosity still belongs to me, that my life can continue unfolding in new ways. And you don't need a plane ticket to do this. This week, I invite you to choose one intentional stretch, a small push outside your comfort zone. Ask yourself, what is one small thing that feels slightly uncomfortable, but also a little exciting? Then do it. It doesn't need to be perfect or anxiety-free. Just intentional and with your full heart. Because growth doesn't require certainty. It just requires willingness and action. And here's what I want you to take with you this week. If you hear that quiet voice inside you, longing for more, please listen to it. Comfort may have kept you steady in the after, but growth is what will bring you back to life. You don't have to leap. You don't have to overhaul your life. You just have to take one baby step, one gentle push beyond what feels familiar. I promise you, it's worth it. And I'm honored, truly honored, to walk this season of expansion with you as I continue pushing myself beyond my own comfort zone and discovering again and again that growth never disappoints. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with another caregiver in the after, or with anyone who might need that small nudge to take a chance on themselves. You can join our growing community at newyorkgirlagain.com. I'm Thérèse, and this is New York Girl Again, The After. I'll see you next week as our December healing series continues. Until then, please take a chance on yourself